So can that son be offered up as an ola? To which the Gemara says, "V'tif shit le'imid Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina." So we can answer this based on what Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina said. Damar mod Rabbi Eliezer. Damar mod Rabbi Eliezer. So on yesterday's daf, again we had that entire section about, or that entire statement about Rabbi Eliezer agreeing to such a situation. To which the Gemara says, "Lo shmi alei." It must be that Rabbi Abin Bar Chia did not hear this previous exchange. That's why he's asking the question. So my Amarle. So both say, so what's so new? What is that lacha? Amarle b'na kravola. So he said, indeed, the offspring of the female asham can be offered up as an ola. To which the Gemara says, "Hi mai." So what exactly is unfolding over here? To which the Gemara says, "Ad kan lo ka'amar Rabbi Eliezer ela mafrish nekeva li ola." So up until this point, Rabbi Eliezer never espoused his sheet, except in the case of where you're mafrish and a keva. You set aside a female animal for an ola. We'll say, why is that unique, as you've been saying many times? De'ika shem ola al imo. Because we'll say, even though I can't offer up the nekeva as an ola, nevertheless, what? Nevertheless, halacha lemaisa, the nekeva is shayach ultimately to the parsha of ola. Why? Because again, as we saw before, ola sa'uf. Right? Again, ola sa'uf. So that's why Rabbi Eliezer says that therefore the offspring will have some level of sanctity. Aval gabe asham, the leka shem ola alimo. But also when it comes to asham, where again an asham has to be a male animal, and if you're mafresh a female, so a female has no sheikhs to asham, I feel Rabbi Eliezer modeh. Even Rabbi Eliezer would agree. Amarle time with Rabbi Eliezer, la mishum shem ola alimo. Tushni Gemara says no. The reason why, according to Rabbi Eliezer, that in certain circumstances there is some level of residual kedusha upon the upon the offspring, has nothing to do with the fact that the mother has a shaykhis to the concept of the karban. Ela mishum dechazi lahakrava. Rather, again, the idea is because ultimately, again, the offspring will be fit for offering. V'hainami chazil lahakrava. And in this case, also Rabbi Eliezer will say that ultimately, again, the animal is fit for sacrificial offering. To which the Gemara says, Eisvei vladan vladan asof kaladoros. So we'll say if you have a situation of the offspring, is actually just quoting the Mishnah, right? The Mishnah said the offspring and the offspring of the offspring until all future generations. This is talking about the situation of a Temurah's asham, or for that matter, the offspring of a Temurah, of the asham. So the offspring, atsof kol ha'olam, are set out to graze, and until they develop a mum, and ultimately again sold and use the proceeds to purchase an ola. Sell it and use the proceeds to purchase a nedava. To which the Gemara says, so Yavi b'dmeim ola. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Correct. You go ahead, you sell it off, use the offspring to purchase. The vlad ad sof kola olam ultimately is then set out to graze, develops a mum, and you could use the proceeds to then go ahead and purchase an ola. To which the Gemara says, "B'demehen in." What do you see from here? It's dafka with the money, with the proceeds. However, taf of chapalav atzmolo, the animal itself, of course, cannot be offered up. And I will say now, Rashi points out this is true that even though we said before that the offspring of a Temurah is fit for offering, for sacrificial offering. In this case, what do you see? That ultimately we're saying you could use the proceeds, but not the animal itself. Hachama asking, what's the case over here? Kigon sheyalda nekeva. What's the case over here talking about? Where the Temurah itself gave birth to a female. So that's why it's not fit for sacrificial offering. Just halacha l'maisa, if you develop some mum, you could sell it off and use the proceeds to purchase a carbon. To which the Gemara was saying, "V'atzof ha'olam la'olid chad zachar." So again, remember the lashon of the Mishnah will say was the offspring of the offspring, the offspring of the offspring of the offspring until the end of the world. Ultimately, again, could be offered up as an ola. To which the Gemara says, "So now you're telling me we're talking about when a Bryce has said that you could use the monies, right, from the redemption to purchase an ola." We're talking about over here a nekeva. So you're going to tell me that for all future generations, there's no possibility of having a zachar, of having a male animal, and that male animal itself would be fit for sacrificial offering. Amalei mishanina shinuye decheki bavloi. So he says, I'll give you a little bit of a stretched answer, like the Babylonians often do. So apparently the Babylonians had a reputation for sometimes giving a little bit of a forced answer. What's the forced answer in this context? Kigon sheyalda nekevas at sof ha'olam. What are we talking about over here? It's about a situation where the only offspring was female. If the only offspring was female, then there is no possibility, of course, to go ahead and offer up that female as an olah. So instead, what can you do? Allow it to graze until it develops a mum, redeem it, and use the monies ultimately again for olah. Good. Says the Mishnah. Temurah sabachar v'hamaiser. We'll say now we're switching gears a little bit, and we're going now to the following. What about the temurah, right? The exchange of a bechar animal or maiser behema. So again, remember, bechar is bechar, firstborn of the flock, right? Or firstborn of the mother, I should say. And maiser is maiser behema, the 10th animal. So I'll say, what happens now in a situation where you try to exchange the bechar for another animal, or you did temurah with maiser behema? So what's the halacha? Vladan uvlad vladan atsof kol ha'olam hare'elu ki bechar uki maiser. So we'll say the Mishnah says the offspring and the offspring of the offspring until ultimately again the end of all time have the status of a bechar and of maiser behema, and therefore v'yochlu b'muman lebayru. So we'll remember again, when it comes to bechar and maiser behema, these animals are a bit different in that halacha l'maisa, again, if they develop a mum, they become the property of the owner. So the Mishnah now says that the temurah of a bechar and maiser behema have the same status as the original animals themselves, and therefore again halacha l'maisa, as soon as they develop a mum, they become the property of the owner. To which the Gemara says, "Ma bein bechar u'maiser lebein kol hakotshim." What's the difference between bechar behema and maiser behema than all other sacrificial animals? Shekol hakotshim nimkarim be'itlis, v'nishchatin be'itlis. We'll say in general, that's actually very interesting. All other kotshim that are redeemed. Well, so let's say in all of these cases, when we speak about the animal developing a mum and being sold and the proceeds being used for something sacrificial, so the halacha is that when you sell that blemished sacrificial animal, you can sell it in the marketplace, and when measuring the meat, you can go ahead and use regular measures. V'nishkalin belitra, chutz min ha'bechar v'hamaiser. Also with the exception of bechar and maiser, which cannot be shechted, measured, or slaughtered in the marketplace, but instead must be done on the premises of the owner. What's the distinction over here, I will say? So if you think about it on a certain level, to shecht the sacrificial animal in the marketplace seems to be a certain lack of reverence for that animal. Yet, by other karbanos, we allow that to be done. Why? It's actually very interesting. Why? Because it will say, if you do it in the marketplace, you will most definitely get the best price. Right? If you shecht it in your house, right, there's not such publicity to it, so you'll get there's less purchasers. So interestingly enough, when you have a sacrificial animal that's going to be redeemed and the proceeds are going to go to the Beis HaMikdash, we want you to get the best price possible, so we allow you to shecht it and to sell it in the marketplace. Whenever you, the owner, are going to be the beneficiary of this, and you're going to get to keep it, like by bechar and maiser behema, we don't allow you to shecht it and sell it in the marketplace. Rather, you shecht it and sell it from your home. Very interesting. V'yesh lan pidyon, or the temurah sein pidyon, and ultimately, again, these animals have redemption, and their temurahs have redemption. Chutz min ha'bechar v'hamaiser. So we'll say that's by regular karbanos that have ultimately again pidyon, and their temurahs have pidyon. But when it comes to bechar and maiser, they do not have regular pidyon. So we'll say, remember again, they don't have pidyon because if they develop a mum, what's the halacha? They simply become the property of the owner. There's no redemption process. Because once maiser behema, once bechar behema develops a mum, they become the property of the owner. The Gemara says, so ultimately, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Furthermore, again, I will say, general karbanos can come from animals in chutz la'aretz. However, chutz min ha'bechar v'hamaiser, but when it comes to bechar behema, maiser behema, she'im ba'ut mimin yikrevu. If these animals come from chutz la'aretz, right, technically speaking, if they arrive unblemished, you can offer them up. Ve'im ba'alei mumin, but ultimately, again, if they are ba'alei mumin, yochlu b'muman lebaylim. Ultimately, again, all they need is a mum, and I will say, as opposed to other sacrificial items which need some type of redemption process, if bechar behema or meiser behema develops a mum, they become the immediate property of the owner and can be consumed as such. Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says, Matam Shabachar v'Mais Yeshlan Parnasa Mim Koman Ushara Kodshim Afa Pishan Ola Lahan Mum Hare'elu B'Kedushasan. So Rabbi Shimon says, what's the reason? Because ultimately, again, Bechar and Meiser Yeshlan Parnasa Bim Koman. I will say, what does that mean? Look at Rashi. Yesh lahen takana bim koman sheyiru ad sheyistavu v'yochlu b'muman lebaylim ushar kala kachim afapi shenafa ben mum hayin bikdushasan v'tzarach ata liftosan ulalos demein lakrivan v'hol v'sof lahakriv demein yel atzav vikrivu. So we'll say salocha l'maisa. The Mishnah here makes the fundamental distinction. Why is it that Meiser Behema and Bechar Behema are treated differently than other karbanos? Even though Rabbi say, remember again, Meiser Behema, Bechar Behema have this certain sacrificial sanctity. Why are they different? It's a fundamental distinction. Any other karban, if it develops a mum, what's the halacha? There's a pidyon process. You have to sell it off. You have to get the best price. You go ahead and you use the proceeds to purchase something specific. You can't use it for whatever you want. When it comes to Bechar and when it comes to Meiser Behema, once it develops a mum, we'll say, what's the halacha? It belongs to the owner. And it belongs to the owner in totality. That accounts for the difference between these two categories of sacrificial items. Amar Rava bar Rav Azza, Ba'amar Rava. They asked the following shayla in Eretz Yisrael. Hamatil mum b'temuras bechar u'meiser mahu. Both said this is interesting. There is a lav da'oraisa to go ahead and actively inflict a mum on a sacrificial animal. Nisr da'oraisa. What happens if you actively inflict a mum on the temurah of a bechar or on the temurah of meiser behema? Mahu. Mi amiran kevan de lo krivan lo mechayiv. So what do we say? On one hand, if you have a temurah of a bechar or a temurah of a meiser, these animals are never offered up as karbanos, right? They have some level of sanctity, but they are never offered up as karbanos. So do we say that since they're never offered up as karbanos, therefore I'm not chayiv for inflicting a mum on a sacrificial animal? Or do we say no, since in fact they do possess some level of sacrificial sanctity, you are chayiv for going and inflicting a mum? To which the Gemara says, Viti ba'ilacha. I could ask the same kasha. Hamatil mum b'tishish shal meiser. We'll say, what about if one were to inflict a mum on the 9th animal in a meiser behema situation, right? Meiser behema, the animals are coming out of the pen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is meiser behema. What happens if you inflicted a mum on the 9th animal? To which the Gemara says, I will say now, it would appear, look at Rashi, what are we specifically talking about? Kigon Karala Tes Asiri, the Kaddish Veno Karev. Now, what are we talking about over here? Remember, we were talking about this case? If you go ahead and you accidentally call animal number 9, 10, right? Remember this case? I call 9, 10, 10, 10, 11, 10. So what's the halacha? 9 is Kadosh. 9 is Kadosh. Now, again, I will say, it's not treated like actual Meiser Behema, it's not treated like the actual animal, but halacha l'maaseh does have some level of kedusha. So the shayla is, if I accidentally call 9, 10, and then I inflict a mum on 9, am I chayiv for inflicting a mum on kodshim? To which the Gemara says, Ella, maishna teshid lo kami ba'ilacha. So I'll say, why is it that we don't ask the question about number 9? Derachmana me'ate asiri lahotzi teshi. Because that's not, because the Torah tells me that it is really only the 10th animal that has true Kedushas Meiser, but the 9th does not. And the 9th will have some level of Kedusha, but not real Meiser Behema Kedusha. And therefore, if I were to inflict a mum on animal number 9, even though I called 9, 10, I would not be chayiv for matal mum b'kodshim. Hachanami rachmana mi'atinu lo sifta kodeshem. Therefore, we'll say so too over here when it comes to Bechar, the Torah says it is only the Bechar that is Kodesh. Hein Craven, Vein Temurah Sakreva, just like it is only the actual Bechar animal that is offered. The Temurah is not offered, therefore Halacha L'maisa only be chayiv for inflicting a mum on the actual Bechar, but not on the Temurah. So we'll say that seems to be the way the Gemara is passing over here. That halacha l'maisa, I'm only chayiv for actively inflicting the mum on the bechar animal itself, not on the temurah of the bechar. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak masni lehakir. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak had a little bit of a different girsa. On Rav Achar Rav Azza, but Rav. So we'll say in this exchange, the order of the questions is different. The primary shaila over here was Hamat Hilmum b'tishi shal meiser mahu. But let's say if I have a meiser behem situation, I accidentally called animal number 9, number 10, and then what happens? I made a mum on animal number 9. Am I chayav for that? So why don't you ask a different shaila? Why don't you ask what's the halacha if one inflicted a mum on the temurah of a bechar or meiser behem animal? Amrlei Maishna Temuras Bachar Umaiser Delomi Bailan Tirachmana Miatinu Kodeshem Hein Craven Vein Temuras Akreva. So we'll say just like when it comes to Bachar, Torah explicitly says that it is only the Bachar animal that is Kodesh, but the Temurah is not. Therefore, if you were to inflict a mum on the Temurah, ultimately you would not be chayiv. So the Gemara says, Meiser Nami Rachmana Miatia Asiri Lo Ties Hatashi. Therefore, say Meiser Behem, the Torah also identifies it as the 10th animal, which is halacha l'maaseh kodesh, but not the 9th. Even if you ended up calling the 9th the 10th, and although that endows it with some residual kedusha, you would not be chayiv for inflicting a mum on that animal. So we'll say, so bottom line, halacha l'maaseh, what the Gemara teaches me is as follows. There is an issur d'oraisa to inflict a mum on a sacrificial animal, but that prohibition apparently only applies to the primary animal itself. So for example, if you call the meiser behema animal number 9, 10, so even though it is invested now with some type of kedusha, if you were to inflict a mum on that animal, you would not be chayiv. Similarly, if you were to have a bechar and then make a temurah for that bechar and inflict a mum on that temurah, you would not be chayiv for that. Then bo tamimin or minhu. So Gemara says that's the following kashayla. Ben Antigonus hela bechoros mi Bavel velo kiblu min. Both saying now the Mishnah makes it sound like that halacha l'maisa. If you were to bring unblemished bechar animals from chutz la'aretz, we would in fact offer them up in the Beis Hamikdash. Here's the problem. The Gemara tells a story. This man, Ben Antigonus, went ahead and brought up unblemished bechar animals from Bavel, velo kiblu mimeno. But yet what? They did not accept these karbanos and offer them up. To which the Gemara says, Amar Avchista lo kasha, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva. To which the Gemara says, it's not a kasha. Two different opinions. One is the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel, one is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. How so? The Sanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Gimel Devara Mishum Gimel Zakinin. I'm going to teach you over 3 things in the name of 3 elders. Rabbi Shmuel says, Yochel Ya'ala Adam Meiser Sheni Bizman Hazeh V'Yochlan B'Yushalayim. So let's listen to this. First, Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel says, you might have thought that today you could bring your Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim and eat it. V'dinu. The Gemara says it's really a kavachomer. Bechar Taun Havos Makom, because Bechar Behema requires bringing to Yerushalayim. First, Y line Chafal from Dalif. Meiser Taun Havos Makom. And Meiser Sheni requires ultimately bringing to Yerushalayim as well. Ma Bechar Eno Ne'echal Ele Bifnei Habayis. Just like Bechar, just like Bechar is only consumed in the presence of the Beis Hamikdash, Af Meiser Eno Ne'echal Ele Bifnei Habayis. So too again, Meiser Sheni is only consumed in the presence of the Beis Hamikdash. And therefore, if there is no Beis Hamikdash, then what Rabbi say? There is no Meiser Sheni. So the Gemara says, Lo, imamrat ki bechar shekein ton matan damin. So maybe the comparison is not right. See, bechar Rabbi say requires blood applications, right? Ve'imur l'gam and requires its limbs to go up on the mizbeach. That's why you can't bring the bechar without a Beis Hamikdash. Tomar b'meiser delo. But say meiser on the other hand does not what? Doesn't Meiser Sheni doesn't require mizbeach. So maybe you should bring it to the base. Maybe you should bring it to Yerushalayim at least, even in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash. To which the Gemara says, Amrit Bikurim Tunin Havas Makom. So I'll bring a right from Bikurim. Bikurim require in bringing to the Beis Hamikdash, Umaiser Ton Havas Makom, and Meiser Sheni requires in bringing to Yerushalayim. Ma Bikurim Ein Ne'achalon Ela Bifnei Habayis. Just like Bikurim are only brought when there is a Beis Hamikdash. Af Meiser einachal ala bifnei habayis. So to Meiser is only brought to Yerushalayim when there is a Beis Hamikdash. To which the Gemara says, but again the comparison is not good. Ma'ale bikurin shekein tu'unin hanacha. Both say bikurim, the halacha is you must place the basket in front of the mizbeach. You need a mizbeach. Tomar b'meiser delo. Ultimately, again, Meiser Sheni doesn't have any such requirement. Talmud Lomar, v'yachat lefnei Hashem Elokecha ma'asar degancha v'siroshcha v'yitzarecha u'bechoros bekarcha v'tzonecha. Hikish Meiser lebechar. Both said the pasuk itself equates Meiser Sheni to Bechar. Ma Bechar inonecha ala b'fnei habayis. Just like Bechar is only consumed when the Beis Hamikdash stands. Af Meiser inoneachal ala b'fnei habayis. So too Meiser Sheni is only brought to the Beis Hamikdash, is only brought to Yerushalayim when the Beis Hamikdash stands. So both saying again, remember, this is Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel's teaching, remember again, 3 teachings in the name of 3 elders. Rabbi Shmuel's teaching me that Allah Chalamayisa, when the Beis Hamikdash does not stand, there is no obligation to bring Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim. No such obligation. So therefore, again, Allah Chalamayisa, and he's learning out from the comparison between Meiser Sheni and Bechar. But 1 second, why can't you create the common denominator? Amar Rashi, Mishum Diika Lameimar, Ma Lasal Shava Shebahan, Sheken Yeshban Sad Mizbeach. Because I will say again, if you're going to do a Ma'at Sad, I could always say that ultimately the comparison between these items is that again, at least Bikurim and Bechar have its Sad Mizbeach, have to be brought to the altar. That of course does not apply when it comes to what? When it comes to Meiser Sheni. Umay Kasavar. So what does he hold? It's interesting. I Kasavar Kedusha Rishon Kitcha L'Shaita V'Kitcha Lasid Lavo. Both say, you realize how incredible this is? That we're learning this mamish on the day before Tisha B'Av. Right? This is the fundamental distinction. What is the Kedusha ultimately again of, this is specifically Harabayis. Right? What is the Kedusha of Yerushalayim Harabayis in the aftermath of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash? Incredible. So my Kasavar, Ikasavar Kedusha Rishona Kitcha L'Shaita V'Kitcha Lasid Lavo. If you hold that the original Kedusha of Yerushalayim, this is Yoshua's Kedusha, right? Ultimately, again, was sanctified for his time and sanctified forever. Loshna Bechar, Veloshna Meiser, B'nei Havaninu. We'll say, if you hold that the Kedusha of Yerushalayim remains intact, even in the absence of a Beis HaMikdash, then of course, you have to bring everything, right? You have to bring Meiser Sheni, you have to bring Bikurim, you have to bring everything. So the Gemara says, B'nei Havaninu, but if you hold that, I will say the first Kedusha is only intact as long as the Beis HaMikdash stands. But once the Beis HaMikdash unfortunately is destroyed, the original Kedusha is no longer intact. Then ultimately again, even Bechar raises a kasha, to which the Gemara says, you're right. The Olam Kasavar Kedusha Rishona, Kitcha L'Shaita, V'lo Kitcha Lasid Lavo. Both say in reality, when it comes to Kedusha Rishona, that I will remember again, this is only speaking about the first sanctity. There's a separate discussion about what? Kedusha Shnia, right? What happens about the second Kedusha, but leaving that aside, everyone, so the Gemara says, everyone will agree over here, that's what, or I should say, Rabbi, not everyone, at least Rabbi Shmuel holds, that Kedusha Rishon, the first Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, Kitcha L'Shaita, V'lo Kitcha Lasid Lavo, was only Kaddish when the Beis HaMikdash stood. When the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, that Kedusha is no longer intact. V'hacham asking us, what's the Shiloh over here? That's actually very interesting. Kigon Shenizrak Tamosha Bechar B'fnei Habayis. Supposed to listen to this. Someone offered up a Bechar animal, when the Beis HaMikdash was standing, and then what happens? V'charav Habayis. The Beis HaMikdash was then destroyed before a person had the opportunity to consume the meat. So right? Ultimately, again, the Kohanim did not yet eat the meat, but now the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. So say, for example, in a situation like this, if the blood had not yet been sprinkled and the Beis HaMikdash had been destroyed, so of course the meat would not be consumable, because you can't eat the meat without sprinkling the blood. So the Gemara says, "The isi ledam lo baras rikuhu asi basar yalef bedam." The prohibition on the meat would have been learned out from the blood. Amud days va'asi meiser v'yalef mi bechar, and then ultimately again meiser sheni would be learned out from bechar, and we would say just as what? Just as if, even though you offered up the carbon, you slaughtered it, ultimately before the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. But after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, you can't sprinkle the blood. If you can't sprinkle the blood, you can't eat the meat. And remember, the pasuk tells me that what? That I learn out the halachas of Meiser Sheni from Bechar. And just like the absence of the Beis Hamikdash and the absence of the inability to sprinkle the blood tells me I can't eat the Bechar, therefore what? Halacha l'Meiser would tell me that I can't eat Meiser Sheni in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash as well. To which the Gemara says, Umi alfinon kodesh me'adadi. But one second, do we learn out the halachos of karbanos one from the other? Do we actually do that? V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, kala Torah kula lemeidin lamad mina lamad. But let's say in general, this concept of lamad mina lamad means even things that are learned out from drashas can serve as the source to learn other things out from that drasha. In other words, we'll say, so again, that's pretty much it. Lamad mina lamad means, again, even things learned out themselves from a drasha could serve as the source to then learn other things out from that thing which itself was learned from a drasha. Good. Chutz min hakachim. We'll say this applies to all areas, apparently, except for karbanos. She'ein lemeidin lamad min halamad. Ultimately, again, apparently, the halachos of karbanos must be learned out from primary sources and not from drashas. To which the Gemara says, Meiser chulinu. To which the Gemara says, well, that's okay, because ultimately, again, Meiser Sheni itself is considered to be what? Is considered to be chulin. Has, interesting enough, I will say, has the status ultimately, again, of not really of sacrificial items, but more of chulin. If that's the case, then I can learn it out from a drasha. Not from a drasha. It's not called lamad min halamad. Hani chalaman damar basa lamad azlinan. So I'll say that's fine according to the opinion that says that you could even follow something that was learned out from a drasha. According to one who says that ultimately, again, you can't learn things out from a drasha, but can only learn out from a primary source. What is there to say? To which the Gemara says, you could say that meat and blood is really one thing. There was in the previous drasha, it's not looked at as a two-step drasha, but rather again it's looked at as a primary source. Rabbi Akiva says, "Yochel ya'ala adam b'char michutz la'aretz." So we'll say fine. So that's ultimately again Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel's concept, I will say, is that halacha l'maisa what is that a person there is no ma'is. You don't bring ma'aser sheni to Yerushalayim in the absence of a Beis Hamikdash. That's it. Where does he learn it out from? It appears, bottom line, that the drasha itself is learned out from Bechar. There's a connection, the pasuk itself links Meiser Sheni with Bechar, so to make a long drasha short, just like Bechar is not offered up in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash, so too Meiser Sheni is not brought to the Beis Hamikdash, is not brought to Yerushalayim in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash. Beautiful. That's drasha number one. Next, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Yochel Ya'ala Adam B'char Michutz La'aretz. You might have thought that a person would bring a Bechar Behema from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael in a time when the Beis Hamikdash stands. In other words, I might have thought that halacha l'maisa again, when the Beis Hamikdash stands, ultimately I go ahead and I bring an unblemished Bechar from Chutz La'aretz. Talmud Lomar v'yachalt lefnei Hashem Elokecha ma'asar degancha v'siroshcha v'yitarecha ubechoros bekarcha v'tzonecha mimakom sha'ata ma'ala meiser dagon ata ma'ala bechar. So I'll say the drasha links bechar to meiser, to which we learn out as follows. From the places where you bring meiser, we'll say, where do you bring meiser from? Only from produce grown in Eretz Yisrael. Ata ma'ala bechar. That's where you bring a bechar from. Umimakom sha'ata ma'ala meiser dagon. We'll say from places where you don't bring, right, meiser from your produce, i'ata ma'ala bechar. Those are places where you also don't bring a bechar. So I'll say, just like I don't bring meiser from produce grown outside of Eretz Yisrael. Just like I don't bring meiser from produce grown from outside Eretz Yisrael, I don't bring bechar from animals raised outside of or born outside of Eretz Yisrael. Ben Azai says, Yochel ma'ala es meiser sheni v'yochlan b'chol haroa. So we'll say now, halacha number 3. Ben Azai says, you might have thought that what? that you could bring Meiser Sheni and eat it anywhere b'chol roa. And I will say roa means that I don't have to bring Meiser Sheni into Yerushalayim, but rather as long as I could see the city, as long as I could see the walls, I could consume Meiser Sheni even outside of the actual city, as long as you could see the walls. After all, v'dinu b'char ta'on havas makom. On one hand, b'char requires being brought to Yerushalayim, u'meiser ta'on havas makom, and Meiser Sheni also requires bringing to Yerushalayim. Ma b'char eino ne'achal lifnim, just like b'char can only be eaten inside of the Beis HaMikdash, u'min hachoma, inside, or I should say inside Yerushalayim, inside of the walls. Af Meiser, so to Meiser Sheni, eino ne'achal ela lifnim min hachoma. So to Meiser Sheni can only be consumed inside of the wall of Yerushalayim. But yet, mala b'char shekein ton matan damin ve'imur legab mizbeach. But one second, b'char is different. I will say, why is b'char different? Because b'char is a carbon. After all, it requires blood applications as well as the burning of the limbs on the mizbeach itself. Tomar b'meiser delo. I will say, when it comes to meiser behema, of course, or meiser sheni, of course, there is no such obligation. Talmud lomar v'yachalt l'fnei Hashem Elokecha ma'asar digancha v'siroshcha v'yitzarecha u'bechoros bekarcha v'sonecha. What do you see from this pasuk? Makish meiser lebechar. The Torah compares meiser to bechar. Ma bechar eno ne'achal el lifnim min hachoma. Just like bechar ultimately can only be consumed inside of the wall of Yerushalayim. Af meiser eno ne'achal el lifnim min hachoma. So to meiser could only be consumed inside of the wall of Yerushalayim. Ultimately, and I will say that's what? That halacha l'maisa, again, you can't eat it even if you see the walls from the outside. My kashe dikamar yachal. So I say, what was bothering Ben Azai? That he has to use that lashon of yachal, you might have thought. So I'll tell you what. Amrit, hoil utinan, because I would have thought as follows, I will say. In other words, what the Gemara is asking over here is, what's the havamina? In other words, obviously he went through this whole drasha because there's a part of you, Ben Azai, that thought that maybe you could consume meiser even outside of the Beis HaMikdash, outside of Yerushalayim, as long as you could see the walls of Yerushalayim. Therefore, what happens? The pasuk equates, or the pasuk compares bechar to meiser, which tells us what? Just as bechar has to be eaten inside of the walls, so too meiser has to be eaten inside of the walls. To which the Gemara now says, well, why would you have thought that meiser is any different? I'll tell you why. Amrit, hoil utinan, ein bein shilo l'Yerushalayim. So we'll say again, since we learned in the Mishnah, in Meseches Megillah, I will say this is the Ein Bein Sugis in Megillah. Right? There's a whole bunch of Mishnayos that compare different items. Ein Bein this to that. So we have Ein Bein Shilo Yerushalayim. There is no distinction between Shiloh. Remember again, Shiloh is where the Mishkan stood for 439 years. 369 years, thank you. So the Gemara says, Tanan, Ein Bein Shilo Yerushalayim. There is no distinction between Shiloh and Yerushalayim. Ella shebeshilo ochlim kadshim kalim u'meiser sheni b'chala roa. The Rebbe says that's very interesting. When it comes to Shiloh, the halacha was that you can eat kadshim kalim and meiser sheni as long as you could see Shiloh. Right? As long as you could see the Mishkan, as long as you could see Shiloh, even if you weren't in the actual precincts of the Mishkan, you could eat kadshim kalim and meiser sheni. Ubi Yerushalayim lifnim min hachoma. When it comes to Yerushalayim, Rabbi say, seeing Yerushalayim is not enough. Seeing the walls is not enough. Rather, what? You have to be inside of the walls. V'chein kadshe kadoshim lifnim min hakelayim. And Rabbi says, so to kadshe kadoshim, it's not enough to even be inside the walls of Yerushalayim, but rather what? You have to be inside of the curtains of the Beis HaMikdash. So inside the walls of the Beis HaMikdash, the Azara. Ma'udutema, what would you have thought? B'Yerushalayim leisei meiser sheni b'chol haroa. So say, I might have thought, therefore, again, maybe this comparison between Shiloh and Yerushalayim, although it doesn't apply ultimately again for what? For regular karbanos, maybe it does apply for meiser sheni. And maybe again, just like meiser sheni was able to be consumed b'chol haroa, and if I was able to see Shiloh, so to halacha l'mais you should be able to consume meiser sheni, as long as what? You could see Yerushalayim from where you were. Kamashon, that is not the case. Kamashon, that halacha l'maisa, even for meiser sheni, must be consumed lifnim min hachoma. Must be consumed ultimately again inside of the walls of the Beis HaMikdash. Beautiful. Achirim omrim. Others say, Yochel yehi bechar she'avra shnaso kepsuli hamukdashin v'ipasal. This is very interesting. Remember, we learned this again in Bechoros, that halacha l'maisa, the obligation is to go ahead and take care of your bechar behema as soon as possible. Right? Let's say again, I kept the bechar for over a year. Right? You might have thought that therefore it has the status of psuli hamukdashin, and therefore should be pasa from being offered up. Talmud lomar, maiser degancha v'siroshcha v'yitarecha. Therefore, both say what happens. The pasuk compares makish bechar lemaiser. The Torah compares bechar behema to maiser. Ma maiser eino nifsal mishana lechaverta. Both say just like maiser sheni. If you go ahead, right, or for that matter, maiser behema as well. If you go ahead and you leave over maiser from 1 year to the next, right, it does not passel it. Af bechar eino nifsal mishana lechaverta. So to bechar, say for some reason you left over past the first year, it does not become pasul. But according to the Rabbanan who ultimately use this for a different drasha, ultimately again, so the Gemara says, how do they know that indeed if you leave over the bechar animal, or for that matter meiser, from 1 year to the next, that it does not invalidate it? Nafkalahu melifnei Hashem elokecha tochlanu shana b'shana. The pasuk says, before Hashem your God you shall eat it shana b'shana. What does shana b'shana mean? Limet ala bechar sheno nifsal mishana lechaverta. Ultimately, again, it teaches me that what? So I'll say shana l'shana according to Rabbanan means you can eat it year to year. Year to year means what? That even if you left over the bechar after the first year, so to speak, now meaning even if you did not take care of the bechar in year 1 and you left it to year 2, it does not become pasul. So I say, what do the others do with this phrase? I'm sorry. What do they do with that? They need it for the following. Very interesting. Yom echad mishana zu, yom echad mishana achar. So also the drasha is used to teach me as follows. That's what? Teaches me that halacha lamaisa, you could have 1 day from this year, 1 day from next year. What is that talking about? Limet ala bachar shene'echa l'shnei yamim v'layla echad. Both say that actually, according to the Achim, it teaches me about the window of consumption. After shechting the bachar, how long does one have to eat it? Mishana l'shana. Both say, what's the case Mishana l'shana? Teaches me what? 2 days. Now let's say even if I shechted it at the end of the year, I have Mishana l'shana, the last day of this year and the first day of next year to be able to eat it. Limin ala bachar sheneach alishne yom v'layla echad. V'rabbanon dineach ala beis yom v'layla echad minalo. Well, say where did the Rabbanon learn out that you could eat it for 2 days and 1 night? Amakra yelecha kichaze hatnufa. When it comes to bechar, the pasuk says that ultimately, again, the bechar is like kechazeh hatnufa, like the chest of the animal which is waved. Rabbi said that's a reference to what? The chazeh v'shok, the chest and the thigh. And when it comes, if you look at Rashi, kechazeh hatnufa, tahainu chazeh v'shok shal shlamim. Rabbi said this refers ultimately again like to the chest and to the thigh of shlamim. Ne'echalon lebeis yamim olayla echad, which can be consumed ultimately again for 2 days and 1 night. So Rabbi say what happens? The Torah compares ultimately the bechar to the chazeh v'shok, to the chest and the thigh. Just as the chest and the thigh could be consumed for 2 days and 1 night, so too bechar could be consumed for 2 days and 1 night. Hadrin aloch elu kachim. We'll say a shkoyach and a mazel tov. I'll share with you a short idea in the parasha. So the pasuk we have the great schos this Shabbos to begin Chumash Devarim. So the Torah says, remember again, beginning of Chumash Devarim. So much of Chumash Devarim, specifically Parashas Devarim, is a review of what happened over the course of the last 40 years. Because remember again, Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to a new generation of people, right? Most of these people who he's talking to are people who were born in the deserts, right? And missed out on a lot of the stuff that occurred over the last 40 years. So Moshe Rabbeinu does a little bit of a crash course in Jewish history, giving us all the things that happened. So we'll say, so the pasuk says this is in Parak Aleph, Pasuk Vav, chapter 1, verse 6. Hashem Elokeinu diber elenu b'chorev leimar, Rav lochem sheves baharazeh. So Pasuk says, Hashem Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem our God said to us, B'chorev, Chorev is in Har Sinai, telling us, Rav lochem sheves paharazeh, which of us we normally translate as saying what? You've stayed at this mountain long enough. You've stayed at this mountain long enough. Time to move on. So what's happening over here? So the Pashtos, what the Pasha Pshat is, Moshe is telling Klal Yisrael, there was such an incredible experience at Har Sinai, such an incredible and overwhelming Sinaitic revelation, that apparently Klal Yisrael didn't want to leave Har Sinai. He wanted to stay by Har Sinai. So Moshe, when he comes along and he has to tell Klal Yisrael, no, Rav lochem sheves baharazeh, pinu usu'ulachem. So it's time to go. Time to go. You've had enough time sitting in this mountain. Ultimately, again, it's time to move on. Pasha Pshat. The Ma'ar Shemesh says something absolutely amazing. Listen to this interpretation. So the Ma'ar Shemesh says, B'chorev hisiro sana HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching us, really HaKadosh Baruch Hu was teaching us something much more profound. Shalonira kol ma'atzor umaniya kehar she'efshar la'avaroso. Don't view the obstacles in life as a mountain. Is Rav lochem. You are great. You are great. You are so powerful. More powerful than you will ever know. And therefore, sheves bahar hazeh. People say sometimes in life we come across obstacles. And those obstacles look like mountains. And do you know what happens ultimately again when you get to the base of the mountain? And it looks so overwhelming. And it looks so wide and so tall. And you know what sometimes the reflexive reaction is to do? Sit down at the base of the mountain and say, Oy vavoy. Impossible. Impossible. I can't get over it. I can't get around it. There's no way forward. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to us, in those, when you come to the mountain, I will say that mountain is something different for each of us. Sometimes that mountain is a negative trait that I have to overcome. Sometimes that mountain is a even begun to discover, and therefore avoid the temptation of sheves bahar hazeh. Avoid the temptation of sitting down at the base of the mountain and giving up. So many times in life, Rabbi said, we get to the base of the mountain and we don't even try because it just simply looks so difficult and so overwhelming. So what do? Sheves bahar hazeh. All right, you know what? I'm going to make myself comfortable. I'll pitch a tent. And sometimes I don't even pitch a tent. I build a house. And not only do I build a house, I put on an addition, right? I put in a pool. I put in a hammock. And it's fantastic. And what do? I live my life at the base of the mountain. Why? Because I simply lacked the courage to try to scale it or to try to find my way around it. And people live lives of incredible and profound mediocrity because they never even attempt to overcome their life challenges. Moshe Rabbeinu says to Klal Yisrael, do you want to know the most incredible message that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you? What's the most incredible takeaway of Har Sinai? Hashem Elokeinu diber eleinu b'chorev leimar Rav lochem. Discover your power. Discover your energies. Discover your kochos. And avoid the temptation of sheves bahar hazeh. Do not settle at the base of the mountain. Do not set up shop at the base of the mountain. Do not consign yourself for a life of mediocrity because you're too scared to confront the mountains of your life challenge. Rav lochem. You are more powerful than you could even imagine. Find the courage to scale the mountain. And sometimes you have to go over the mountain, Rabbi saying. Sometimes you go around the mountain. But one thing is for sure, which is you need to get to the other side of the mountain. How you're going to do that, you're going to have to figure out. Around or over, that's a personal decision that depends on the circumstances. And Rabbi say, this was the message that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us at Chorev. And it's the message we read every single Shabbos Chazon on the days ultimately leading up to Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the day when we confront our challenges, both personal and national. And again, I want to tell you, there's an incredible opportunity. Tisha B'Av is a Sunday, as you may have heard, right? Everybody gets excited for the wrong reasons. It's a nidcha, Right? So suddenly, again, it's an itcha, everybody's a chola. It's incredible. There's been a proliferation of extenuating circumstances amongst Klal Yisrael. Right? So we'll say it's a different reason why it's incredible. It's a Sunday, which means you don't have to run anywhere. And I know Nishtanu Ateva, everybody's very fragile, everybody gets headaches and stomach aches and this aches and that aches. It's a day. It's a day. You're going to be just fine. You're not so fragile. You're not going to break. But use the day. Use the day. You don't have to run to work, right? You don't have to balance circumstances. Your wife needs help. Everybody suddenly on Tisha B'Av is like the best husband in the world, right? The rest of the year, you're nowhere to be found, right? The rest of the year, you're out of the house for every single little thing. So Tisha B'Av, I need to be home with the kids. Okay, if you are, then fantastic. I would just urge you, don't use the children as the cover, right? Don't suddenly become husband number one that you have to save the world because you don't want to sit in shul. Let's say there's an incredible opportunity here. And if you should help with the kids, if you need to help with the kids. But there's an incredible opportunity here, which is to take in the day. Take in the day. And again, the best thing you could do with your Tisha B'Av is the day when we confront our national and personal challenges. Use the opportunity to close your eyes and ask yourself, what mountains are there in my life? And how many of those mountains have I been staring at for years? Too scared of them, setting up shop at the base of them. And how can I summon up the courage to scale them and to go around them? Unless you think that I don't have the tools. I don't have the tools for that. Rav Lachem. Rabbi Baruch was giving us the tools for every single life challenge. It is up to us to find the courage to utilize them and get over the mountain. Maybe be Zocha and Yirtzeh Hashem to use the day to feel the pain of Klal Yisrael, to use the day to be honest with ourselves and confront our challenges, to use the day ultimately again to feel the power of Rav Lachem, and may we find the courage to stop living at the base of our mountain.